Have you noticed how when you don't click on a video, you'll often see it again, but with a different title or thumbnail? This is called A/B testing, and top YouTubers have had this for a while, but now it's gone platform-wide. Even YouTubers who seemingly don't care about attention will use this feature a lot, but the question is why? Well, the simple answer would be that everyone wants their videos to be watched, and a title and thumbnail are a type of advertising, but therefore, like most types of advertising, there is a real suspicion around it, and it often feels like there are outright lies that come from this. So as someone who believes that not lying is important, how do you avoid doing so when your livelihood is dependent on people watching your videos, at least to some extent, presumably over others? Well, that's what I want to go into today, because hello, I'm IBXToyCat, and I'm on a mission to bring back gameplay commentary to YouTube, and I have 3 points to raise today in this one, and the first of which is going to be about marketing, because I am genuinely and wholeheartedly of the belief that marketing, when done well, is of real benefit, net benefit to both the consumer and the people doing the advertising. I believe this to be true because there are all sorts of things in the world that I don't know about that would actually be really good for me. There's games that I know I would really love, but I just haven't gotten to play. For example, I played Outer Wilds recently because someone who helps out a lot on the channel, KMB, a regular here, was like, wow, you love time loop you love time loop movies, but you've never played the definitive time loop game. And then I played it, and it was great. I love advertising when it's for things that I presumably will like quite a bit, and that's honestly one of the reasons why I hate advertising for Coke. Coca-Cola does so much advertising every single day just to remind people it exists, but I don't need to be reminded that Coke exists. I'm very familiar with its existence, but what I would love to see ads about, and what I've seen ads about, were, for example, a brand new razor. I've always found electric razors to suck, and I got an ad for one, and I was like, well, it's cheap enough, I'll get it, and it's been great. It's made my life so much easier. I've stopped cutting myself so much. I love the razor. I'm not going to tell you about the brand, but it's wonderful. And I also got ads for this weird revolutionary suit, and I was like, you know what? I've got a real wedding to attend, and then kind of like a fake second ceremony. I think wearing a revolutionary suit would be really cool, and ultimately, it's dumb, and it's an example of something that maybe wouldn't have added any value to my life, but actually did. It would have taken me forever to find this, but also the game Outer Worlds is something I only found out about because Xbox was like, oh, there's this great new game, and it's on Games Pass, and I absolutely love playing it. And so, I think there are many cases in the world where you will find out about something via advertising. Sure, I think lying is bad, and I appreciate the irony of saying this while I'm trying to build a fake, real overworld sky in my nether. I think that lying is bad. I think it is actively one of the things we should avoid. But at the same time, I don't think that I don't think that most advertising constitutes lying. I think good advertising constitutes letting people know about something that actually they'd be really interested in watching. And so I would say, with that in mind, with the fact in mind that there are lots of forms of good marketing that I as a consumer have appreciated, it is worth then asking the secondary question, the next thing along here, which is like, okay, so if marketing can be done well, and if it exists, why is it that every YouTuber puts so much work into advertising their videos? I mean, sure, you can find out about things you wouldn't have known existed with advertising, but just like how Outer Worlds or Outer Wilds, oh, that's funny actually, I didn't realize till just now that two games that I really like sound basically identical. Anyway, but Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds are both games I really enjoy, but whether or not they'd advertised, they would have had some success anyway, right? So ultimately you could say, why is it that YouTubers, who will probably get really successful via word of mouth or the algorithm or whatever anyway, why is it that YouTubers feel the need to put so much work into their advertising when it'll just handle itself, right? And I would say that the simplest answer is that YouTubers all want views. This is a somewhat controversial thing to say, and some people would refute this, but all YouTubers on some level want views. They might want it for the sake of artistic fulfillment. They might want it because they've got production costs they need to pay back. On this channel, if we ever have a video that goes below about 30,000 views or so, I think at current rates, that means that I've made a loss on the video. Not that I have, paid myself a salary and it's not very much. It means that just the costs to make the video have been less than the income made. And sure, that's and avoiding that is something that is really, really ideal, actually, I would say. I think that losing money to make something, even when you really like making the thing, feels much worse than getting paid to make it. And if someone convinces you, and, I guess you could say it is kind of true, if someone convinces you nice and easily that, yeah, the only difference between this being a successful video or an unsuccessful video is how you decide to title or thumbnail it, then obviously a lot of people are going to say, okay, let's put a lot of work into that. Making making good titles and thumbnails has become an art on YouTube, just like how making a good trailer for a movie became really important at one point. I do think that this is something that has all sorts of funny knock-on effects, because lots of YouTubers have their whole thing centered around how they don't really care, and then they actively put a lot of work into what seems to me a lot like caring, in their world. I think that people put a lot of work into caring by putting all of this effort into the title and thumbnail, because ultimately that is what will help people decide whether to click a video or not. I looked at some of my most popular videos for an example of this. I made a video forever ago about mobs and their weaknesses, and just something about that like really gelled with a large number of viewers who are like, yeah, actually, I would like to learn about the weaknesses of lots of Minecraft mobs, because the Enderman sure is beating me up, or the Creeper sure is beating me up. And the same is true about... I don't think this pillar here needs to exist, by the way, so I'm just gonna remove this right now. Anyway, I think that, like, in that same way, I think that there are lots of things where you would first hear about them and go, yeah, actually, that is really useful, that would be really good. And, I think that when we talk about, like, another one of my most popular videos, which was... It came out during the time when beating games without the jump button was going wildly viral. And it was happening for, like, Super Mario and a bunch of different games. And I was like, wouldn't it be fun to try that for Minecraft? Like, it seems like Minecraft should be beat about that jump button, but actually is it? And so I set up the challenge, I tried to see if it was possible, and people really enjoyed the outcome, because asking a question, as long as you give people an interesting answer, is one of the fun things you can do with a YouTube title that gets more people to watch, but also delivers on the promise. In case YouTube is going a bit too granular when we talk about marketing, I want to talk about a case of Robin Williams. So my whole life, people have mentioned this one artist, his name is Robbie Williams, and every single time I'm like, oh, that's the actor, right? And it's like, no, that's Robin Williams. Robbie Williams is the most successful British pop artist in history. How do you not know about him? And I'm like, yeah, I know about him. I've watched him in Flubber, and we continuously do that. But like, it's interesting because I don't think I could tell you any of his songs. But recently, I've been going for a lot of my nostalgic, I guess childhood games and their soundtracks. I love video game music. I don't know if that's ever come up, but I've been going for a lot of like nostalgic old music. And one of the things that I found, one of the things I started listening to again was the FIFA 2000 opening song. It's a song that like made this really, really, like, I don't know, deep impact on me, despite being a minute long. It's very, very strange that it did. But I found out recently that was actually by Robbie Williams, by this very famous artist. This guy has sold... I looked it up. It's 80 million records. It's one of the highest numbers ever. But the only interaction I ever had with him was because EA, back when they were their own independent company and not a Saudi-controlled mega corporation, EA decided to pay, him to, make this special song just for the game. And, I'm sure that he just phoned it in and was like, okay, let's just release the easiest thing that can be considered a song. And then they excerpted it down to 1 minute. But that single thing that was just done for the sake of, money, and that like probably was not his most successful song, is the one that I looked through the comments. Everyone there is like, wow, who's here from FIFA 2000? So many times doing something unintuitive is how people will find you. And so despite the fact that the most impactful thing is probably a song that he spent months working on that is about his dead parents, right? I don't know any of his other songs, I'm going to be honest. But like his most impactful song might be something else. Even though that could be true, the thing that has impacted the most people is probably this song that was done just off the cuff in some much shorter amount of time for a video game, back when video games were nowhere near as popular as they are now. And I think there's something kind of beautiful about that. The fact that you don't know when it is that you're going to produce the thing that the most people will care or know about. And I think that's the reason why, even if you release a video that you think is, like, not the greatest, I think that when you talk about production value, when you talk about production value as, like, how much you spend on production, it probably is like a Mr. Beast video that sits at one of the more expensive YouTube videos out there. But at the same time, despite that being true, I need to go get some more grass and concrete. I've perfectly filled that out. But at the same time as that being true, I think it's interesting that the most impactful YouTube videos are never going to be those ones. The videos that I look back on most fondly are the weird gameplay commentaries from 2008, where someone's just kind of talking off the cuff about something that matters a lot to them. And even though those aren't going to be the things that people find, I think the first YouTube video for a lot of people might be the MrBeast video. Or the first video for, say, this channel might be one of my challenge runs where I beat Minecraft from a sky igloo, or from super flat, or whatever else it may be. I think it's still worth making the videos that are objectively lower production value, that take far fewer hours to edit and record, because I think that there is a real... and I think that, you know, you could say, like, well, therefore these are bad videos. Therefore these are below average videos. Like, so Toycat, you're telling me there's these high production value videos you have, and then you've got these ones. So these are the bad videos, right? But then the more... Also, I did not mean to unwax him. I'm just going to let these guys turn into statues. I don't want to kill them, particularly, but also I'm just done with the noises that they produce. It's far too noisy in here. I don't like what the... you know, the C words over here are doing. Not a big fan at all. So let's now grab some more light blue concrete powder. I've got to turn so much more of the powder into concrete. And let's go back to the nether and let's get things moving there. But I think that there's an interesting thing that ultimately a lot of things on YouTube have to say, this is the grandest production ever. It is the craziest video you'll ever watch. Drop everything and come and look at this now. But weirdly, those videos... those things are not the ones that will make the deepest impact. Sometimes it is when you have some inkling of an expression, and you try to make it, and you try to share it. And that's why I think gameplay commentary is important. I think that YouTubers, to raise my third point here, YouTubers all want views. I think that, you know, this is... I think that trying not to care is something that people love to say. And people, you know, I think it's, like, cool to say you don't care about things. And it is kind of, I will concede, there is something satisfying about, you know, someone who clearly does not care about the rules that everyone else is following. But at the same time, I would say that despite that being cool, even on the things that even when you say you don't care, I think you always care a little bit. By spending your time doing something, I think you necessarily give that a little bit of your attention. And so, yeah, this video actually has 3 very similar thumbnails that I'm testing, even though it's part of this fun thing, partially because, like, okay, yeah, I think if more people saw it, more people might start to think about, like, what advertising is, or what actually impacts you in life, and what it is that seems so important, but the moment it's done, you're just finished with, you know, what is the empty calories of the internet, and what is the real impactful stuff. But also, I would like to say that, you know, like, there is a little bit of, like, trying... I think that even though it seems that, like, you know, like, trying too little is kind of cool, I would say that trying too hard is definitely terrible. I think there are some people... I've seen it all over Twitter who are, like, trying too hard all the time, and it's like, oh, this is, like, painful in its own way. Like, I don't understand what it is, but trying too hard at certain things is a thing. If I told you that I hired 3 separate thumbnail artists to put in giant amounts of time just so I could A/B test the thumbnail results and use that to make the next best one, something about that would actually be a little lame, right? A little bit like, you know, like, sad. I think that the only way that I can explain that, the only way that I can explain, like, people who spend all day responding to, you know, like, other YouTubers with their things so that they can hopefully pop to the top, or people who, like, spam the comment sections with things they'd like to see. I think the reason that, like, trying too hard in certain ways is bad is because there are ways that we like people to try, and there are ways that you're trying too hard because you're like, yes, I have this thing that everyone needs to see, and if people don't see it, it means I've made some giant mistake. I once had a bit of a spat. There was a YouTuber way back in the early console days. A YouTuber stole my content, basically. Just took all of the hard work I put into it, uploaded it as their own, and I confronted them about it, and they were like, well, you know, I've spoken to Jesus about this, and he says that I need to... my work needs to be seen, and this is the only way that I can guarantee that. This was a popular video, and so I made it myself, and now all these people are seeing me instead of you, just like God intended. And I have to question the church that he went to that would give him this sort of advice. But I also... there's something about that to be like, yes, I am on a mission and everyone has to see what I'm doing, that is just substantially worse than saying, I'm making something, like it or hate it, get on the train, I guess. And the lesson that I take, you know, for most people that's not relevant, like, okay, Toycat, I get that you're enjoying talking about the life of making content or art or whatever you want to call it, but, like, ultimately at some point, don't you have to say, also, will the fire count as light for the sake of getting my grass to spread. I guess it mustn't it? But anyway, I think that we can talk about that all day. But the lesson that I think kind of comes out of it, the thing that I try to take from that is that when I was in school, I hated people who would try really hard. I really despised, you know, the guy who's like putting his all into all sorts of things. It's like, no. That's you're overdoing this a little bit. But at the same time, I would say that a little bit of life, and the one thing I've learned, you know, since the school days, I guess, is that even though trying too hard is like kind of a painful thing to see, actually, the truth is that sometimes you need to believe that you are worthwhile if you want other people to believe that you're worthwhile. Sometimes, you know, if you really, really want, you know, the world to think that you are something that is worth looking at. If you want other people in the world to care about you as much as you care about them, sometimes you need to convince them and you need to show them that you care about you. Because I think that, like, when we talk about marketing, we talk about, like, products and stuff. But I think, actually, you need to market yourself and realize that instead of other people being worse than you and everyone being terrible and, you know, they're trying too hard and that's why they're worst, sometimes you need to believe that you can try really hard and be better than other people. I think that... in the same way, I think that it's really, really easy to put yourself down and to convince yourself that you are the worst person out there. But actually, you're probably not. There's probably some ways in which you're really great and some ways in which you're not so great. And as someone who spent a lot of my teenage years, and probably even now, I think there is a voice in the back of my head always convincing me that I am not very good at anything. I think it's really useful to spend some time and realize that, like, yeah, there are some ways that, honestly, you're not good at all. There are some ways that you should be pretty concerned at your own performance, or your own ability, or your own whatever else. But there are some other ways that you're actually pretty good. There's some other ways where you should be really proud of how good you are. And I think that that's something that if you could take one lesson from my heart at the end of this video about marketing, it would be that. It is that, to some extent, I think you should market yourself by realizing what it is that you are good at and what it is you are bad at. It might not be the things that you like the most. You might be really good at things that, you know, like, I think I'm really good at being there for people, you know, even when it's difficult. And, you know, I would therefore criticize other people for specifically not being there when it's difficult, or for not being there when it's any amount of challenge. But actually, you've got to be like, okay, yeah, it's hard for me, but I feel compelled to do it. But maybe that's why I am good at it. And maybe that's where you are for something too. There's something you're not proud of being the best at, but that other people would really like you for. And if you can take one lesson about marketing from this, it's that you should try A/B testing your personality until you find the one that people are most likely to enjoy, and then you can get the most subscribers, and then you can make more personality types, and then you can hire other people to work on your personality, and then you can... I don't know where that analogy went. It's a good one, though, and it's the one I'm going to live by. Thank you for watching this Let's Play. I have been having a lot of fun with the new format, and hopefully you have as well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. For now, if you see this video has fewer than 30,000 views, you could consider becoming a channel member. It's a great way to access members-only content, but also it's a great way to, you know, support the channel in all the various ways, as is useful if you care about anything you've ever seen here. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.